Hello world, Josh Master here, coming in with another crack commentary. So, my last video had to deal with what was going on with the feminist aspects that were happening currently today in our society. The other thing too that I want to get a point across with this is that marriage has now become an entrapment for a lot of men. Now, I am an ordained minister, so I do promote and I do believe that if you really understand what it means to be in a relationship, to get into marriage, that you're just not going to sit there and jump into it and try to take the guy's resources and just think that marriage is going to solve anything. That's what you have to consider, is that it is not something to be taken lightly now, and it is a very serious commitment. It is a lifelong, dedicated process of men and women coming together to build a life. The woman does not detract from that life, she adds to it. And I think that has become probably one of the biggest misunderstood concepts. Now granted, though, the history of marriage is that back in the medieval ages, you had women who came with dowries, so they had something to come with them as a form of property. I don't agree with the fact that women were property at that time, but that's just how economically it was at that point. But the whole point is, in this video, is we're going to go over the construct of what a marriage is actually about. It's not about one person making more money than the other. It's about both people working together to try to accomplish a goal of building a family, a nuclear family unit, where both people contribute, sacrifice, and create a good life for one another. And a marriage is not an easy thing to take on. In fact, I think the marriage within the first 1 to 3 months actually ends in the current generation right now. And unfortunately, the millennial generation is referred to as the relationshipless generation. That's a scary thought for me, and should be for a lot of people. So I want you to think about this. I want you to consider this concept, and I want you to think about it. I mean, if you're going for a long-term relationship leading into marriage, make sure that the person that you marry is who you want to spend the rest of your life with. And then it's not some kind of fad that you think that's going to solve all of your problems. Because when you take that person on, you're taking on their debt, you're taking on their mental state, you're taking on their spiritual state, you're taking on all of these things. You have to be highly selective of who you are choosing as your mate, as your meat mate, as the person who will help to build you up. And for you ladies, do not tear your men down. Treat them with respect. They're there to help you, not to mistreat you. A real man will not slap the crap out of his wife, will not degrade her, but he will stand up to her and tell her what needs to be done in the regards of what and how certain things need to be managed as a couple. And by the same rights, the wife also needs to be able to express herself as well. The biggest problem, people, is communication. People don't seem to know how to communicate. I see a lot of people, a lot of couples, a lot of young couples who will just sit there on their iPhones and don't even communicate with each other. I wonder if that would have a primary effect on the reason why that we're having such a low marriage status ratio right now, because of phones. Maybe. And that's probably one of the biggest issues, is the communication process, the socialization aspect of what it means to communicate your feelings and to be heard. And a lot of couples go to a marriage counselor without realizing half the time he's just being a facilitator of communication. So why pay some dude $50 an hour when all you got to do is sit down, really listen to what the person's saying, and communicate with them? But anywho, also to keep that into the format of what's going on with this video, work things out. Don't run for the hills if things get complicated. If the guy or the woman is abusive, and I mean they're really abusive, they're really hurting you, they're really trying to do something and verbally abusing you, get out of it. I totally agree with that. But if that's not the case, and just because things aren't working out the way that you wanted them to, that's not what marriage is about. Marriage is about growth, development, and maturation. So if you want to get married, 5 things: stable individual, stable job, stable mindset, knows how to handle criticism, and can grow with you. You have to be able to grow with each other or you will grow apart. 9 times out of 10, that's what happens in most marriages. You need to make sure that when you are with someone, you understand who they are inside and out. Anyways, this is Joshin Master. Rock on. Have a great weekend. And always remember, don't be stupid. Question all things and use wisdom. Joshin Master out.